Palm Springs is an incredible environment to encourage those type of businesses. I also worked for several years in San Francisco for a large IT company. Anybody have children? Have you ever heard of Leapfrog? Mm-hmm. I was the Senior Vice President and Technology Officer for Leapfrog for a number of years. But I was living in Palm Springs and flying home every weekend. That was sort of grueling. Another reason I wanted to retire. But a lot of companies have these young people now who work at home, and they work all sorts of odd hours. But these companies have offices in Palo Alto, San Francisco, and those areas up there. But it's very expensive up there. And a lot of these people, these young people, when they go to the office, they'll catch these company buses, and they'll take these buses all the way for an hour and a half into town, and it's sort of a pain. I really have a vision and I actually talked to Chairman Groovy the other day about this, the head of the tribal chairman, and he thought this was a great idea. He said, we have a lot of land. I really see us, encouraging companies to build office space here, and not the kind of office where people go 9 to 5 every day, but a kind of office which Oracle's been doing this for years, and Google and others, where you have a shared space, and you have cubicles, and you have meeting rooms, and people are working at home, and every once in a while a work group will want to get together, because sometimes nothing replaces face-to-face. So if companies had a space in Palm Springs where once in a while the people that work for them could get together, and also if they needed them in San Francisco, well, it's a 45-minute flight from Palm Springs. I mean, and these young people, they're not golfers for the most part. These are people who like to ride bikes. They like to go hiking. They like to go out and eat. Most of them, they eat out all the time. And they like to shop, and they do like to do these kind of things. Palm Springs is ideal because our environments, our weather's great. Our cost of living here is nothing like it is up in Northern California. And these are people who could come here and set their lives up here and use your businesses. These are people who go out and shop and use the restaurants, and they would buy things, and they would shop here and live here. And I think this is an ideal win-win situation. It's like when I had people, developers in Argentina and India, etc. It really doesn't matter where these developers are. But having them in the state, a lot of companies now are very sensitive about this, and they don't want to outsource a lot of this work. And there's a lot of talented people in this country who can do this work. But if they can have people in offices in a place like Palm Springs, with a lower cost of living, and where their people will be happy, it works great for everybody. So that's something I would really like to push, and because of my unique situation where I was in high technology, both in the military and in the corporate industry for 25, 30 years, I'm uniquely positioned to do something like that. I'm only going to touch on 3 things, then I'm going to leave time for questions, of course. The other thing I wanted to talk about was Measure J. The reason I like to bring this up is because a lot of people don't understand Measure J and how it works. The residents of Palm Springs 3.5 years ago, before this election cycle, this November, voted for a 1% tax for everything like food and drugs, illegal drugs, in Palm Springs. And that 1% tax goes into a fund which is supposed to be set aside. It's actually the general fund, but it's accounted for separately. There's 2 reasons for this. One is the city, to be able to build the downtown space in coordination with John Westman, the city had to put up some money. I think it was $47 million or so. So they needed to take a bond out. To do that, they had to have this additional revenue. So they did a bond for 25 years. The payment on that bond is $3.2 million a year, which comes out of Measure J off the top. And that comes off. But that, the City Council handles that. The Measure J Commission has nothing to do with the downtown development project. It has nothing to do with John Westman. It has nothing to do with the bond that was taken out for that. It's completely separate. That's City Council. The City Council are the only people who have fiduciary authority in Palm Springs. Even the city manager can only spend $25,000 without going to the City Council. A lot of people think Measure J Commission has something to do with the Westman project. It does not. However, we're actually pulling in about $11.7 million a year currently from Measure J. And you take 3.2 out, that leaves about $8.5, $9 million a year, which Measure J is intended to use that money for capital improvements in Palm Springs. Roads and infrastructure and fire station and library and parks and this kind of capital improvements in Palm Springs. That's what the Measure J Commission was set up to do. Measure J Commission went out to the citizens of Palm Springs. We got input from many people. We evaluated and reviewed them. We made recommendations to the City Council saying, this is what we see that the people in Palm Springs would like us to do. That's one reason I got involved with so many of these organizations 3.5 years ago, is because I really felt as chairman I needed to be able to understand what people in Palm Springs wanted. So that's why I started going to all the City Council meetings, all the Main Street meetings, going to Desert Business Association, lots and lots of things to learn what people in Palm Springs really wanted. One of the answers was roads, roads, roads. Mm-hmm. One thing that's really sort of bad in Palm Springs, and the Measure J is putting money into it, we have Measure J paid for a survey of the roads